Hello PSVR pioneers and welcome to the 3i Staredown with me, Ryan Seeley. Today we're going to be walking the line that divides PlayStation's virtual reality success and failure, and I'm going to tell you why you must buy Resident Evil 7. It's been a somewhat scattered start to the PlayStation VR's life. Sony delivered on their promise of at least 50 VR titles by Christmas, but seem to have either massively underestimated the demand or had production issues according to some sources, which has put a little bit of a dampener on what otherwise seems to be a rather successful launch. Now into the new year. Assuming the supply soon catches up with the demand, the PSVR starts 2017 in a pretty good position. We have many fun games to play already and several quite big titles on the way. One of those big titles is going to be a big deal for PlayStation VR. That game is, of course, Resident Evil 7. This is the big one we've all been waiting for. The VR mode will be exclusive to PSVR for a year, just to create a bit more animosity from the Vive and Oculus crowds. And whether you like it or not, the success of this game will determine if the PSVR is to become a serious gaming platform or simply PlayStation Move 2.0. It makes sense that a system with such a small user base in comparison to its parent console would need to have a much larger purchase rate per game to give developers any chance of financial success. And by all accounts so far, we PSVR users like spending our cash on PSVR games. We've recently seen the success of the much loved Job Simulator, which instills hope for all the smaller developers out there that VR gaming in general can be profitable. But that's a game from a relatively small team at Alchemy Labs, with only 14 employees in total. What about bigger games? Because of the limited amount of PSVR units currently in the wild right now, we have a profit ceiling that will only extend as the user base grows. That has led to bigger developers not fully committing to standalone VR games, instead offering VR experiences, like we've seen from the likes of Call of Duty and Star Wars Battlefront. That is, until now. We are now only days away from the release of the game that has gone all out to give us PSVR pioneers a full AAA experience in VR. Resident Evil 7 has not only reimagined itself into a grimy survival horror nightmare simulator, but they've gone through all the hassle of implementing a fully functioning VR mode to satisfy only a small fraction of the PlayStation user base. There's no doubt all eyes will be on this game and how it performs next week. Other developers will want to know if all the time, effort and money put into developing a game for so few will be rewarded with loyalty or punished by cold, hard statistics. The number of PSVR owners is a big factor. We're a shallow lake to say the least, and big fish can't be sustained in a shallow lake. Just ask the PlayStation Vita owners out there. As proven with the Vita, great hardware does not equal successful hardware. It's all about the software. Capcom hedged their VR bet by making Resident Evil 7's VR and non-VR modes identical, which is the way to do it for now. That way, the developer can use the non-VR sales to subsidize the VR mode development, and more AAA titles on the PSVR means more PSVR sales. At least, that's what the best case scenario looks like. The flip side of this looks drab to say the least. If Resident Evil 7 fails to succeed in the VR space, say goodbye to high-end VR games on this generation of PSVR, and maybe altogether. I'm a big believer in VR, and a dreamer when it comes to how far VR can go. But make no mistake, unless it's financially viable, it will fail. The headset could potentially become a platform of shovelware like so many failed peripherals before it. The Kinect, the Move, the Wii Fit, the list goes on, but you get the point. Shovelware fills the background of a successful console, but when a console or peripheral fails and the big games dry up, that's when shovelware becomes the leeches that suck dry the last drops of blood money the loyal players have to offer. Shovelware is a natural process, just like a little kitten knowing to shit in a litter box without being trained. It seems like the little kitten was magically born with the knowledge of how shitting etiquette, but this isn't true. The kitten only shits in the litter box because the litter box contains the most perfect conditions for cat shitting. Its soft, loose and absorbent texture simply beats any other spot in the house. Now, shovelware is cat shit, and a failing game system with content-starved users already several hundred big ones deep are the litter tray. We can and must prevent PSVR becoming the next system to be shat on and buried. So, I'm calling on all you PSVR owners out there. Unless you're not interested in Resident Evil 7 at all, then please buy this game. Support the gesture of full VR and send a message with your money. We've all wanted a full game to fully work in full VR, and next week we have it. Now put your money where your mouth is and fucking buy it.